yesterday we took a 9-hour flight from Miami, Florida, all the way to Malaga, Spain, which is where we're at right now. Now, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Skylar, and not only is this our first time visiting Spain, it's also our first time in Europe. Now, normally we make content around our home state of Florida, and in those videos, we generally plan out almost everything we do.
But this video is going to be completely different because what we've heard about these Spanish cities is that they're very walkable, they have lots to do within a small area, and you don't really need a plan. You can kind of just wander around, get lost, and still enjoy the city.
And over the next few days, we're not only going to be exploring the city center here in Malaga, but also in Sevilla, and we're going to be exploring both without the assistance of our cell phones. And just looking at a map of the cities and seeing how the roads go off in all different directions, it's almost inevitable that at some point we will be getting lost, but oftentimes that's when we have the most fun. It's been a disaster, but anyway. Now, as you can see behind me, there is a giant tower. We're pretty sure that's actually part of the Malaga Cathedral, which is a famous landmark here in Malaga. We're gonna head that way, and hopefully we can climb up the top of that tower and get a good view of the city. But first, we're gonna grab a coffee.
Along our search for coffee, we came across one of the more than 100 churches that can be found in Malaga. And while this church wasn't nearly as large as the cathedral we'd be visiting later, we were still impressed with its intricate design and beauty. The elaborate patterns continued out in the streets, where some of the narrow cobblestone roads had pebble designs down their centers. As we wandered around the historic Old Town roads, we passed by a few different coffee shops, but it was Julieta that caught our attention.
So this place drew us in because the sign outside said it had the best coffee in town, and then when we looked inside, it had so much character. There was a bunch of exposed brick, and they decorate with coffee beans and coffee mugs. Now, when we got inside, everything in their display case looked delicious. We ended up ordering a pistachio latte because we ultimately came here for the coffee, but we didn't realize they also offer fresh juices as well as made-to-order brunch items. So we also ordered a Energizer drink, which is a blend of orange, banana, and kiwi juices. We also ordered the salmon lovers toast because from our prior research, having toast for breakfast is typical in this area of Spain.
So our first coffee stop here in Malaga ended up turning into a bit of a feast. Not only is the juice much bigger than we expected, but this toast is massive as well. Now, all of this only costs somewhere around 16 euros, which we think is a great deal as long as this tastes half as good as it looks. So I don't love the toast itself, it's pretty dry, but the eggs on it are really fluffy, but the star for me is easily the salmon. That salmon is delicious.
Now for me, the best part of Julieta was easily our coffee, as it was smooth, a little sweet, and was topped with some delicious whipped cream and candied pistachios.
Alright, let's go see if we can find the entrance to that tower. We seem to be getting closer to it. Not sure if you can hear it, but the bell is ringing.
So we made it to the cathedral, and this thing is absolutely massive, but we have no idea where the entrance is, so we're just going to kind of follow the tourists, and hopefully they take us there. So following the tourists did lead us to what appears to be the entrance. We'll see you inside. So bad news, we just found out that the cathedral is actually closed until 2 today for a special event. And we also learned that the tower is closed for construction, so we're not going to be able to go up there and get those views we were hoping for. But thankfully the staff did recommend another spot where we should be able to get some really good views, and that is at the castle. So we're going to go try to find that later this afternoon. But first we're going to try to find a market that we've been hearing some really good things about.
So even though we can't get in the cathedral right now, we at least get to see the gardens around it because it is free to walk around. They have a few bird baths and a ton of pigeons gather around. Right now we're walking around the other side of the cathedral, and there is actually a crane here. And we can hear some construction going on, so not sure when that tower will reopen. I'm not sure if we're getting close to the market, but we found ourselves a hand pigeon.
Now, even though we aren't currently using our cell phones to navigate, we do still kind of have an idea of where some of the main attractions are in this city, because I did study the map quite a bit before this vacation. Now, we actually knew that the central market was pretty close to the cathedral, just a little bit to the southwest. And while that walk should have taken us 5 minutes or so, it probably ended up taking us closer to 15, because even though when you know the direction where something is, it's hard to continue to go in that direction because the roads do wind around so much, and plus it's pretty cloudy today, so we can't see where the sun is to help us navigate. But we did eventually find the market. It's right behind us, and we're excited to check it out.
Now, we really would have preferred to wait a little bit longer before eating some more, but this market does close at 2 p.m. and we wanted to make sure that we didn't miss it. Now, it is Saturday and it is very, very busy, but we're gonna go show you what's inside. It would be so easy to lose Skylar in here.
So they have these huge bowls of this orange stuff. I have no idea what it is, but I kind of want to try it. I have definitely never seen so many olives in one place in my life. This is awesome.
Oh my gosh, all these spices. The amount of fruit and veggies available here is so impressive. Charcuterie, a bunch of nuts and dried fruit.
They are making fresh fried calamari here. I bet that is the best calamari ever. Very impressive cheese selection here. And a bunch of cured meats. Of course, you got your wine vendors here as well. Here's the bread section. So the fruits and vegetables at these stands are pretty similar to what you'll find in Florida, but you definitely see a lot more figs and dates and stuff.
And while the meat section at this market did look fairly similar to what we're accustomed to at home, the seafood section sure did not.
Definitely seeing a lot of seafood here I've never seen in the States.
While we would have loved to eat some seafood, we had places to be and things to see, so we opted for a grab-and-go option instead. And one thing we found that you can never go wrong with in Spain is olives.
Oh my gosh, are we gonna be able to eat all those?
Yep.
All right.
That place is completely insane. So we just left the Central Market, and that place was pretty awesome and pretty terrible at the same time. It was awesome because of the selection. I've never seen so many different types of meat, seafood, cheeses, olives, and produce all under one roof. But it was terrible just because of how crowded it was. I constantly felt like I was in someone's way, and I was really happy to get out of there. So while I definitely would recommend visiting the Central Market, I probably wouldn't recommend you do it on a busy Saturday.
Now, there are a ton of places to eat tapas inside, but you basically have to be standing around a very crowded bar. Now, you can also eat outside at one of the tables, but at least today when we're visiting, there's a long line to do that. We decided we weren't that hungry. We grabbed some olives. We plan to snack on those while we continue to explore, and then we'll have a larger meal later on.
Now, Spain is definitely known for their olives, so that was one of the things we really wanted to try here at the market, but they had so many different types, and we had no idea which ones to pick. So we just went with the variety. Now, this whole container costs like $5, which is probably about half the price of what something similar would cost in Florida. We're gonna give one of these a try. Probably the best olive I've ever had. So after checking out the Central Market and eating a ridiculous amount of olives, we are on to our next adventure, which is trying to locate this famous castle. Now, all we really know about it as far as location goes is that it's somewhere east of here. Like most castles, it is located up on the top of a hill, so we're hoping at some point we'll be able to spot it, and then it won't be hard to get to it after that.
Our journey east towards the castle led us to Calle Larios, which is arguably the most famous street in all of Malaga. This vibrant, pedestrian-only street is known for its shopping as well as its elaborate Christmas light displays. While we wouldn't be spending much time on Calle Larios on this day, we did spend some time on it the night before, and we're going to show you that experience along with a few of our other adventures from our first night in Malaga right now. Now, for a little background, we decided to visit Malaga mainly due to a terrific flight deal, as we were able to book round-trip flights from Miami for right around $400 per person. This was our first time we'd flown on or even heard of TAP Air Portugal. Overall, we were pretty impressed, as the onboard entertainment selection was good, the food was decent, and the seats were quite comfortable. The flight went smoothly, and after a quick connection in Lisbon, we touched down in Spain.
We just got into Malaga and got dropped off somewhere in the Old Town area close to our Airbnb, and we're both going on like 2 hours of sleep in the last 36 hours, so we don't have enough energy to do much. I think we're both really excited to get some sleep, but first we did have to grab some food, and Malaga is actually well known for its Iberian ham. We found a little corner shop close to our Airbnb that had some, and for $5 we were able to get a cone of it, and it is really good. It's a little bit salty, it's pretty fatty, but the flavor is great. I understand why it's famous here.
While the Iberian ham snack was great, it was only enough to whet our appetites, so we made our way to the famous Calle Larios in search of some more food. And just a few steps off this stunning street, we found our dinner spot for the night at Lolita. Here we had our very first experience with fresh Spanish orange juice, real Spanish tapas, and Spanish beer. Since we were exhausted, we didn't film as much of this meal as we normally would have, but we did both agree that this dining experience was a great one.
So after trying that Iberian ham as well as a few tapas, I couldn't pass up getting some gelato because there are gelaterias everywhere around here. And at the one back here, they had a gelato called buffalo milk. We've never seen it anywhere before, but I would say it's similar to what we call sweet cream in the United States. It's very good.
And for those of you who are wondering, it really is made with buffalo milk. Apparently here in Spain, there's some sort of water buffalo that they've domesticated and do actually raise for dairy.
Now while you decide whether or not you believe Skylar's story, we're going to get back to our search for a castle on our second day in Malaga.
Ooh, does this tell us where it is at all? No, I don't think so. So we're seeing something up here. We're thinking it might be part of the castle. While we may not be going exactly where we're supposed to, at least we found a really pretty area to walk on. So we were surprised to find what we think are parrots here. They sound and look very similar to the ones that we find in Florida.
So we've been walking through Malaga Park for a while now, and we've been pretty impressed with it. It's really nice. It actually runs on both sides of this road, and if you cross the street and go to the other side of the park, it actually sits along the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Malaga is on the south coast of Spain. It's known for having some pretty nice beaches on the Mediterranean, and most people who visit the city probably would visit the beach at least one day, but we're visiting in January. It's the coldest month of the year here. The high only gets up into like the mid-60s or so on most days, so it's not really good beach weather. So we probably will not be visiting the beach, at least not in this video.
So it just started to sprinkle and we came under this little covering and we're seeing people way up there. We're not sure if that is part of the castle, but I think we're gonna head that direction next. So we're glad we turned and headed in this direction. We found this little information map. It's a little rough, but we can tell we're at least here and we wanna go there to the castle. So we're heading in the right direction now. This city is making it too easy for us. We're definitely going the right way. So I'm guessing we're heading all the way up there, which seems very far away right now. So the walk to the castle is a bit steep. I'd recommend wearing layers. Skylar is already hot and had to stop to put his jacket in his backpack. So along the way there are several lookout points to stop and enjoy the view, but we're gonna try to make our way up to the top first. From here, you've got a good view of the harbor. Looks like there's a ferry in right now. And you can also see a bit of the mountains as well. Some of this gets really steep.
The views keep getting better.
Yeah. Now, even if you didn't want to go all the way up to the castle, even just walking partially up this path gives you really good views.
So we just noticed that out there in the sea is a Virgin cruise ship. We just sailed on Virgin for the first time a couple of months ago.
Ooh, maybe we'll have to do that sailing.
Yeah.
There's a kitty just hanging out up here, taking a nap.
Guarding the castle.
So from here you can see the tower at the cathedral, the one we were hoping to get to the top of. You may not be able to tell from this view, but we're already higher than it. From here you can also see down into that theater below. I know this probably doesn't come across on video, but this area is really steep. I do love that they have built these stairs around the existing trees. Now, if you're watching this thinking you would never be able to do this hike, it does appear there's a road that comes up here and maybe even a bus.
Now, as we've already shown you, you will find some absolutely beautiful views of Malaga on the hike up to this castle, and you don't even have to pay a penny for those. But the entrance fee is only $11 for both of us to visit both the castle and the Alcazaba, which we thought was a great deal and worth it, even though we do only have about an hour or so to spend at each.
Now while the views on the hike up to the castle were incredible, we were amazed to find that the views from the castle were even better. Yeah, the views from the castle are pretty nice.
So everybody seems to be taking photos over in this direction. So let's go see what the view is like. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is why. So we have made it to the top of the castle, and the views of both the water and the city are incredible. Now, like Skylar mentioned, we don't have much time because tomorrow morning we're already heading to Sevilla, and then we're going to explore more of Spain and even go down to Morocco. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you won't miss those adventures. Now, it is starting to rain quite a bit more, so we're going to get out of here. We're getting ready to leave right here, and we're going to head to the Alcazaba, so it's not too far away. So this is a pretty cool garden path that you can choose to take up or down to the castle. So this is a totally different path than the one that we took up here. I just spotted a wild animal. Look how cute it is, just sitting in that tree. I'm not sure what just happened, but all of the cats just started running this way. There's like 5 cats. Actually, I see probably like 10. Okay, so apparently these cats saw this man with this food, and they all came to beg for it. We almost made it back down from visiting the castle. Now, we didn't film much of the walk back down because that rain made those rocks pretty slick. So that is something to keep in mind if you're planning on visiting and there's any rain in the forecast. Make sure to bring some shoes with some traction. Now, I love seeing all the arched doorways as well as the brick and pebble pathways here at the Alcazaba, but it does feel a lot more touristy. It's located in town, it's very accessible, but despite that, I would still recommend coming and seeing it. You do have to be careful here because there are some paths that don't have any rails on them at all. From one of the viewpoints, you can see the path that you take to go up to the castle. So I wasn't expecting the grounds to be so beautiful here. It's a lot greener than I expected it to be.
We made it to one of the highest viewpoints here at the Alcazaba, and while this view isn't as good as the one we had at the top of the castle, it's much easier to get up here, so definitely worth the hike in our opinion. Now, it's about 4:45 right now, and the cathedral is back open as far as we know, but I do think it closes at 6, which means we have just a little bit over an hour to get there, so we'll see you there next.
This guy asked Skylar if he could help him get his dog. Oh no, he's so fast! Next we have to find our way back to the cathedral, but we have to find it in the sky first to get there.
Yeah, we could see the tower a little bit earlier, but we can't see it anymore. I'm pretty sure it's still somewhere that way, but definitely not positive.
So we literally just got done saying that we couldn't see it in the sky anymore, and then we turned the corner and it's right here. Look at that!
So as you can see, we did find our way back to the cathedral, and the 5 o'clock church bells just got done ringing, and that means we still have an hour to spare, so we should have enough time to show you around quite a bit. Now, even though we weren't able to climb up to the top of the tower, we're both really glad we made it back to the cathedral before it closed and thought it was definitely worth the price of admission. Now, we learned it was constructed starting way back in 1525, and it took over 250 years to complete, and it just absolutely amazes me how they were able to build such a huge and intricate building that many years ago. Now, it's almost 6 o'clock. We are getting hungry, and for that, we are absolutely in the right place because I'm pretty sure there's about 500 or so restaurants within a mile or so of us. So we're gonna go try to pick one of them for dinner.
Now, walking around, we found it absolutely impossible to not stop by one of these little cafes, and there were so many to choose from. Now, this one drew us in because it had a beautiful display case full of pastries, and I expected Skylar to come back with something maybe stuffed with cream or full of sugar, but instead, he came back with this. He had asked the staff what was unique to their bakery, and they said this, pan de Dios. So we're gonna give it a try. So it is really soft and just a little bit sweet. I really like it, but I know Skylar's not going to because it has coconut on top. Of all the crazy things Skylar will eat, he does not like coconut. I guess more for me.
Now, even though I wasn't able to enjoy Jamie's snack with her, I did at least get to enjoy a cafe con leche. And I noticed that this cafe also had fresh juices. I think that's pretty normal here in Spain, which we absolutely love, because if you want fresh juice where we live, you pretty much have to go to a juice bar, and a juice is going to cost you like $8 there, where around here it's like $3-4.
After leaving that bakery, we were walking down random streets, and we walked by this place that just looked so interesting that it just drew us in. We went down this hallway, and then we were looking through a window, or what we thought was a window, at this big menu on the wall, and a local showed us that it was actually the door to get into the place. It is so cool here.
So the first thing we ordered is chicharrones, because we've been hearing about these fried Oh, what is that? Did we even order those?
I think so.
Oh, they got us both of them. They got the perfect.
We're gonna have to share this.
All right, so these are fried anchovies. Supposedly, this part of Spain has the best anchovies in the world, and it's very popular to eat them fried here. That's actually really good.
A lot.
There are a lot.
Oh my gosh. I never thought I would actually like fried anchovies.
Really freaking good. So we got the octopus salad too, at the recommendation of a couple sitting next to us at the bar.
Oh yeah. You're really gonna like that. Very fresh. I think there's both shrimp and octopus in there.
So when we first got here, we knew we wanted the fried anchovies, and Jamie saw chicharrones on the menu, and she was thinking chicharrones were fried anchovies, but we later realized that they're pork. But we also ordered fried anchovies as well, and then we got the octopus salad, and we got this curry goat, which was also recommended by the people next to us at the bar. So I'm going to try this curried goat next. Honestly, I've never had goat I particularly enjoyed, but the people next to us said it's great. Wow. I would have never thought goat could taste that good. That is so tender. Previously, the goat we've had has always been chewy. This is not chewy at all. And the curry flavor is great.
Now, to be honest, I hadn't even planned on eating any of the goat, but after seeing how much Skylar loved it, I decided to give it a chance. And I can confirm that this goat was tender, flavorful, and nothing short of fantastic.
So we just finished up our meal at Bodega del Pimpi, which based off the name alone, you may not even expect to be a restaurant, but it was a restaurant, and we're really glad we stumbled into that place, because for just 35 euros, we were able to try 5 different things, including fried anchovies, Malaga goat, chicharrones, octopus salad, and sangria. Now, all of those things are very popular dishes here in Malaga, and we're really happy we got to try them. Surprisingly, my favorite was the goat. I'd never had goat I enjoyed before, but this goat was so tender and flavorful, it completely changed my opinion on it.
So my favorite thing in there was surprisingly those anchovies. They were way better than I expected them to be. They weren't like super fishy, and you actually ate the entire anchovy, scales, tail, and all. It was a totally different experience and just not what I expected. Now we only have a couple more goals for this evening, and that is to find a place with live music and try churros with chocolate. Well, and of course Skylar wants to drink some more Spanish beer. So the place where we just had tapas apparently has this whole outdoor space as well. So this little alleyway we saw had murals on it. So of course we have to walk down it. Only about a block away from where we just ate is a good view of the Alcazaba. It's all lit up at night. So just out of curiosity, Skylar had to go in and see what was on the Burger King menu. We'll see what he finds. Anything interesting?
Well, we never go to Burger King at home, so honestly, I don't even know if it's any different.
It is so hard not to just go down all of these streets and see what is there.
Well, and every place has such good deals. Like, we just walked by a sign that said 2 beers and what?
2 beers and a plate of cheese, or Iberian sausage, or nachos with guacamole for 6 euros.
That's
and you can get the chocolate and churros there. And at this spot, you can get $1 tacos. Look how cute it looks inside.
Yeah, it looks a lot better than the $1 taco spots in Florida.
Every time I lose Skylar here, he is looking inside a bar at a happy hour.
Yeah, and every time I lose you, you're looking at gelato or pastry.
Well, that's also true. For the popular dining spots, it does seem like people will wait in line for quite a bit to get in. Hola. So even though most of the streets are packed with people, you can find streets like this that are practically empty.
They still feel safe though.
Yeah. So somehow we found ourselves back at El Pimpi. We did a loop and didn't even know it. Oh, look at this. So what we have observed here is that the bakeries and cafes stay open late here. So bright inside. It looks delicious. I think we just found my spot for churros and chocolate. So we have been wandering around, just going down random streets, whatever kind of intrigues us for the last 20 minutes. And the cool thing is, even though we have no idea where we're at right now, like,
we're totally lost, for sure. But we also know eventually we're going to stumble upon something we've seen, right?
Right, yeah, eventually. I do think though, like in most cities, if we were wandering around streets and didn't know where we were at, I would feel...
You'd be panicking.
I would be very nervous about it. But here, I can totally enjoy it and just kind of take in all of the experiences. I love it. Now, I don't know if you guys recognize this street, but this is where we filmed the intro earlier today. This is what it looked like this morning, and this is what it looks like now. Totally different. So these buildings, even though we know that they are authentic and really old, they don't even seem real. They're so cool.
So it's probably been about 20 minutes since we went into that last place to get churros, but it was closed, and we have not been able to find another place that has churros since. So we're thinking we might finally have to bust out our cell phone just so we can find a spot that actually has churros.
I definitely want to try the churros and chocolate.
So in addition to the lack of churros, I've also been surprised by the lack of live music. I love Spanish guitar, and I was hoping that we are going to be finding little bars with bands all over the place, but we really haven't found any at all. But honestly, that's been pretty much the only disappointment of Malaga so far. Other than that, I've been loving this city. So 10 seconds probably after I got done saying that we haven't been finding live music, we stumbled upon a place with a flamenco guitar player. So we're going to check that out for sure.
Well, hey. So Skylar is like manifesting the things that he wants, but he is not manifesting my churros and
Obviously
chocolate,
not,
so
no.
You can work on that next.
All right, so we finally found that bar with a musician at it. So we grabbed a table by the musician, went inside to grab a couple of drinks, and by the time we got back to our table, the musician had already packed up and left. And by this time of night, it's already 9:30, and as much as we'd love to walk around aimlessly for a few more hours, we have to catch a train to Sevilla in the morning. So we decided to finally get the phones out and look at the map so we could actually find a place with flamenco music and a place we can get churros. So hopefully that will be our next 2 stops. So sadly, we once again struck out on our attempts to find flamenco music. We actually did find a spot, but when we got inside, we were immediately told that we had to leave because we didn't have tickets. And when we looked up how to purchase tickets, we found that they were sold out. Now the only thing left on our list is churros and maybe to get some craft beers, so that's where we're heading next.
So our quest for churros and chocolate has brought us to a completely new area.
The things we do for churros.
I know.
We are not going across the river.
Aren't we walking across the river here?
This is not a river.
Oh, it's the place with the yellow awning, right?
Picasso, yeah.
All right. So at this point, we are feeling a little bit defeated because even after turning on Google Maps, we struck out with finding flamenco music and churros and chocolate. The most recent spot we checked out, they did confirm they offer churros, but only in the mornings. So if you want to try churros and chocolate, you're going to have to start looking for it before 9 p.m. Now, the silver lining in all this is that we happened to stumble across a beer bar right across the street.
Now, while Birros Deluxe definitely did not have churros, they did have a huge selection of beer, many of which are difficult, if not impossible, to find in the States. And Skylar couldn't have been happier to find a few of his favorite Belgian beers on draft for only around half of what they would cost back at home. The beers were delicious, the service was great, and Skylar would have gladly stayed here for longer, but our train the next morning was an early one, so it was time to get some sleep.
So we are about to check out, but I wanted to quickly show you what around $80 a day will get you here in downtown Malaga. Here's the little kitchen and dining area downstairs. And up here is the bed and the bathroom. The place treated us really well, but it is time to go.
So we got checked out of our Airbnb, and we actually had to walk a ways to get to a street that cars could actually drive on, but we did eventually find one, and we got our Uber ordered. We are now on our way to the train station, and then we'll be heading to Sevilla. So we got to our platform at the train station about 20 minutes before it's scheduled to leave, but it looks like they're already letting people on. There's our high-speed train. Can we just get on any of them, you think? Oh, we do have specific seats. I don't think this train is going to be anywhere close to full. So we didn't have enough time to grab breakfast this morning, but we did pick up these our first night in Malaga. So we're enjoying them on the train this morning. And I gotta say that Spanish corn nuts are frickin' delicious.
Trying to get to our hotel has been a crazy journey. All these pathways are so narrow, and they're also full of oranges. There's a lot more out here. Look at how many are on the trees still. Oranges are literally just falling from trees. One landed right next to this guy on the sidewalk. So we just got checked into our room here in Sevilla. Now we had gone to reception to drop our bags off to go and explore. They let us know that our room was actually ready. Now this has to be the most unique room we've ever stayed in. We've never been in a room that has not only one, but two chandeliers. There's one above the bed and one in the bathroom. Now the bathroom does have your typical shower, but it also has a clawfoot tub. But I think what we're most excited for has to be our balcony. So right through here, we have got a view of the city. Now, even though we're staying right in the city, it feels like we're in an orange grove. It's clear that it is orange season, and we have a view of literally thousands of oranges. This is how close the oranges are to our balcony. I don't have a long reach at all. Look at that.
So the guy at the hotel when we checked in said that these oranges are not very good. They're not sweet, but I like things that aren't sweet, so I'm gonna try it. They're like a combination of an orange and a lemon. I kind of like it actually, but they have a lot of seeds in them. Most people probably wouldn't like it too much. So as you can probably tell, the weather here in Sevilla is not too great right now, and we are starving. So we decided to go try to find the one food that we haven't had in Spain yet that we've really been wanting to have, and that is paella. Now, because we don't just want to be wandering around aimlessly in the rain, we did decide to use Google Maps. We Googled the best paella in the area, and that's where we're heading to next. Oh, actually, there's one more thing we have to try here in Spain, and that is Jamie's churros and chocolate, so hopefully we'll get that after paella.
Thankfully, Vendala was only a couple blocks away, but it was completely packed inside, so we ate outside in a covered area. Skylar ordered a Spanish Doppelbock, which ended up being his favorite Spanish beer of the entire trip. And I got to try a bit of the house wine, which was quite tasty. We ordered the paella and a half order of the artichoke appetizer. The stuffed artichoke was covered in some delicious white sauce, and the paella came out steaming hot and stuffed with seafood. We both agreed that our favorite part of the paella had to be the calamari. After grabbing a late lunch, we tried to find some churros and chocolate, but all the highly rated spots happened to be closed on Sundays. So we decided that would have to wait until tomorrow, and we ended up at a coffee shop instead. We both ordered vanilla cappuccinos, which we found to have the perfect balance of sweetness and bitterness. After coffee, the weather still wasn't cooperating, so we decided it would be a good time to visit the Sevilla Cathedral.
Skylar just said he didn't think this was a street that cars could drive on, and then one comes right through here. The sidewalks leave you just enough room to get out of the way of the cars.
Your mirror just cleared out by like here.
Oh my gosh, it's so narrow.
Because we were visiting the cathedral so late in the day, staff recommended we make the trek up the bell tower first, before exploring the rest of the cathedral. The climb to the top is 80 meters, which is equivalent to a 25-story building. The path through the tower consists of 34 ramps and 17 narrow stairs.
On the way up, there are a few areas you can step off and really enjoy the view. I do wish it was sunny today, but it's still a nice view of the city. It does kind of feel like we're going through a tunnel, a very long, winding tunnel. We've got to be really close to the top now.
When we arrived at the top, we were surprised to see how many bells the tower houses, as well as how large they are, as they look so small from the streets below around the cathedral. We were in the tower when one of the bells rang, but we were unfortunately on the wrong side of the tower to see it. We were fortunate enough to take in views from all sides of the tower before it started to rain again and the visibility drastically decreased. We took that as a sign that it was time for us to make our way back down to the cathedral.
So the Sevilla Cathedral is even older than the one we visited in Malaga. This one was constructed from 1402 to 1506. So this one only took a little over 100 years, and it's actually bigger than the one in Malaga. So they must have had a lot more people working on this one.
The Sevilla Cathedral is the 4th largest church in the world and the largest Gothic cathedral in the world. We were so impressed by the intricate ceilings, grand architecture, giant organs, colorful stained glass, and the altar. Our footage can't even come close to conveying the feeling of being inside such a massive and historic structure, so we would highly recommend taking the time to visit when in Sevilla.
So when we climbed that tower, we went all the way up to where those bells are, and along the way you could peek out of all of those windows.
So this city is absolutely beautiful, but it's kind of weird having all of these smashed oranges around everywhere. You really got to watch where you're walking. Uh-oh. We really need to find a place to get inside and have some food. There appears to be a ferocious dog up ahead of us, getting a little nervous. Oh man, look at all the oranges on this street. Holy cow. So we found a dinner spot we're really excited for right by the cathedral. That atmosphere is really cool, and like most of the restaurants around here, they do have a tapas menu, and we actually ordered 4 of them. We got the seafood and octopus salad, we got a cuttlefish and prawn meatball, and the other 2 haven't come out yet, but we will show them to you in a little bit. And of course, I also had to get some sangria. Now, I am not a big red wine drinker, but this sangria here is starting to grow on me. It's really good.
I can say I have never had a meatball quite like that, but it is really good. The fish taste is very subtle, and I like the black rice with it.
The octopus here in Spain is just fantastic. That's so good. And this salad has a lot of olive oil in it, but I really like it.
Our goat cheese with bitter orange jam has arrived, and it looks fantastic.
So some goat cheese you can hardly tell is goat cheese. This goat cheese definitely tastes like goat cheese, but it's really well balanced out by that bitter orange jam. I really like it, and I'm wondering if that bitter orange jam might actually be made out of the oranges that we've been seeing all over in the streets around here, because those are really bitter oranges.
So our last dish has arrived. It combines chicken, goat cheese, bacon, and caramel. And we had no idea what it was going to look like, and it does seem like it's fried. Really excited to try it. So this is probably going to sound really weird, but it kind of reminds me of a very gourmet version of the McDonald's chicken nugget and their barbecue sauce.
I really wasn't expecting to agree with Jamie, but I totally understand where she's coming from. It really does kind of taste like a chicken nugget, but if you were to add bacon and a little bit of goat cheese, as much as I hate to admit it, I love McDonald's chicken nuggets, and I really love these as well.
As soon as we walked out this morning, I heard another thud. These oranges are falling everywhere. You really do have to be careful.
Good morning. As you can probably tell, it is another rainy, dreary day here in Sevilla, and we got off to a really late start this morning. It's been a disaster. Jamie woke up a little bit before me, and she was kind enough to bring me coffee in bed. And it's the super dark, almost espresso-like European coffee. And I proceeded to fall asleep. Now, let me give you a little bit of background. We got into Spain 3 days ago. We hardly slept at all on that flight. And I've basically hardly slept since then either. I think I've just been pretty much running on adrenaline. I've just been so excited to finally be in Europe that I just haven't been able to sleep. But that changed last night. It finally caught up to me. When we got home, I laid down in bed and I think I was sleeping within 5 seconds. Back to this morning, Jamie brought me coffee in bed and I proceeded to fall asleep while drinking that coffee. And you probably know where this is going, but our bed sheets, they're totally white, as are the pillowcases and even the comforter. When I woke up from that sleep, I must have jumped a little bit and that coffee went everywhere. So we spent the first hour or so of this morning trying to get those coffee stains out of our bed sheets. Now, I think we did a pretty decent job. We'll see what they look like after they dry. We're gonna try to continue what we were doing a couple days ago in Malaga. We're gonna walk around the city and explore without maps, and we'll see what we get up to.
Now the sun is trying to peek out through the clouds. We're seeing a little bit of blue sky, but they are moving quite fast. I think it's gonna rain on and off all day today. Now because we have yet to try churros and chocolate, we're starting off heading in the direction of a place that is known for having good churros and chocolate. But honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence that we're gonna make it there without Google Maps. Along the way, we'll probably find somewhere to give them a try. And we'll also pop into a coffee shop since somebody back there spilled most of his. You can do a horse and carriage ride. I think a guy yesterday said it was like 45 bucks for a couple.
Something like that, yeah, it was pricey.
We have already found our way back to the cathedral. It is kind of hard to miss. Now today, the cathedral is going to be a major landmark for us. So as long as we can figure out where that is, then we can kind of navigate from there. Before we leave this area, I do want to show you guys the line to get into the cathedral. And just for reference, this is Monday late morning. Now, if you don't get your tickets online, you have to walk around that corner over there to the ticket office. So we made it to an area of town where the restaurants and cafes are replaced with shops. They're all so quaint and are full of character. Almost fall with your coffee.
Would have been the second coffee I lost today. Oh my gosh. So it's almost noon by now and I finally got my coffee for the day. We found a really cool little coffee shop. It was pretty much standing room only, but that's pretty typical here for Sevilla. But this cafe con leche is super creamy, it's delicious, and best of all, it only costs €3.
So we came around the corner of the coffee shop and found this really cool building. I know Skylar had to go scope out the pizza and this little breakfast spot. See, there's another one where it's just standing room only. There are holes on the side of this building and birds are going in and out of them. But that parrot just came out of that hole.
So this place offers sangria for takeaway. I may not know where we are, but I am loving this neighborhood.
We just found a spot that advertises churros. We peeked inside, it looks really cool. So we have given up on making it to the spot we had initially identified and we're just gonna get churros here. I think we have found a really good spot because everyone in here is eating churros and chocolate. Now ours just arrived, they were just made, they're super hot, and I cannot wait to give them a try.
Now, even though I don't love chocolate, I have to admit that is really good. I will say we've had churros in the US a few different times before, and after trying these churros, I'd say the ones in the US are very Americanized. These are completely different, but in my opinion, they're much better. Now, one kind of crazy thing we noticed a lot of in Malaga, and even more so here in Sevilla, is all of the pork legs hanging from the ceilings in restaurants. Here in Sevilla, it's probably a 50-50 chance that a restaurant's gonna have them.
After leaving our churro spot, we noticed that we could see part of another popular attraction in Sevilla, so we decided to walk toward it.
We've made it to another landmark, which from our prior resources is the Cetas de Sevilla. It is giving us a little bit of relief from the rain. You can purchase tickets to go up and walk on top of this, but because the weather is not cooperating, we're not gonna pay the fee to do that. But from up here, we can actually see the cathedral again, so we have a little bit of an idea where we're at. But before we leave this area, I do wanna talk about that churro experience because it was not what I expected at all. The churros were a little bit crispy on the outside, but the inside, they were a little chewy and a little soft. They weren't sweet at all. All the sweetness came from that chocolate. Now that chocolate was dark, so the chocolate wasn't overly sweet as well. Overall, we really enjoyed the experience.
So in both Malaga and here in Sevilla, you do see a lot of scooters. Now you can rent them from a lot of shops around town, and you can also rent them through Cabify, which is a ride-hailing app. They do also have Uber here, but I'm not sure if you can rent scooters through them.
We came across this park area. On either side of it, there's a bunch of residential buildings, and at the end of the park, there are two trees. They look like banyan trees. They are giant and they are gorgeous.
So now that we know where the cathedral tower is, we're gonna start heading in that general direction because we know right next to the cathedral is the real Alcazar, which is another major landmark that we wanted to make sure we got to today. I'm sure we'll run across some more cool stuff along the way too.
I love that we just stumble upon random churches as we're walking through these Spanish cities.
I bet all the plants are at least loving this rain.
So another reason we have a hard time knowing where we are is because we keep going down these roads that just look really cute, even if it's in the wrong direction.
So in our attempt to get back to the cathedral, we came across this plaza that we noticed had this huge map on it. So we decided to check it out to make sure we were going in the right direction. Now I noticed that this plaza is actually called Plaza de Pilatos, and I knew from my prior research that there's a landmark in Sevilla called Casa de Pilatos. And after looking around a little bit, we realized it's right over there. Unfortunately though, it's closed for filming. I don't know what they're filming. It kind of seems like maybe a movie or something. It's a pretty big deal, I think, because there are a lot of camera crew going in and out of there. Unfortunately though, that means we're not going to be able to get in today, but we would recommend checking it out if you get a chance. Just from the photos I've seen of it, it looks really beautiful. So I ended up talking to one of the filming crew members, and I had to ask him what they were filming over there, and he said it was The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. I guess it's a spin-off of the Walking Dead series on AMC. We've never seen it, but we're definitely going to try to watch it now. If you've ever seen that show, let us know in the comments if it's any good. So we made it to Avenida Melendez Paleo, which is one of the major roads here in Sevilla. As you can see, it is very busy, and it's definitely not nearly as enjoyable to walk down as those smaller residential windy streets are. But I do know that if we stick to this road, it's going to get us really close to the Real Alcazar and another landmark that we really wanted to visit here in Sevilla.
Cool, we're kind of getting to know this city. This is the place that we had lunch at the first day when we got in.
Plaza de España was completed in 1929. It's the most well-known plaza in the city and is free to visit. Mosaic tiles that represent each of the provinces in the country line the foot of the semicircular building. Several bridges cross the canal in front of the building, and at times, visitors are allowed to rent boats and paddle below. In the middle of the courtyard is a huge fountain, which was a little wild on a windy day. We really enjoyed taking in the intricate tile work and grand architecture.
The Plaza de España is located in a much larger park, and on a nicer day we would definitely show you more of it, but here it's wet, it's windy, it's almost 4 o'clock, and the only thing we've eaten today were those churros, so we're gonna go find something to eat. Okay, so we found another city map. We are in the San Fernando area. Well, this area is very close to the Alcazar.
So we decided to stop into El Rincón de Beirut for dinner, and as much as we've been enjoying all the Spanish food the last few days, it will be nice to try something different. Plus, we've never had Lebanese food before. They also have Moroccan food here too, but we'll be eating plenty of Moroccan food when we're in Morocco in a few days. And as you can see, they also have sangria. Ooh, that one is carbonated. It's good.
Our appetizer dolma arrived first, which is grape leaves stuffed with rice and vegetables. Oh my gosh. Oh, that looks great. So everything here came out very fast. We ordered the dolma appetizer as well as some shawarma wrap thing, which is one of their house specialties, along with, I don't remember the name of it, but it kind of looks like a soup. It's called moussaka limassol. So I never thought eating a leaf would taste so good. It's a little salty, it's a little tangy, and the pomegranate adds a little sweetness.
So I'm gonna try the moussaka limassol. It has beef, eggplant, onion, cheese, and something else that I don't know how to pronounce. Oh yeah, lots of cheese. So we were kind of expecting that dish to be like a soup, but I'd say it's more like lasagna actually. The meat in it though is really tender, and I don't know what kind of cheese they use, but it is so good. I would highly recommend this dish.
And last is our shawarma wrap. So I really like the lamb inside there. I tried it with the sauce, and honestly, I like it without the sauce.
We are almost back to the cathedral area, so the Alcazar has got to be right around here. So this is a different view of the cathedral that we haven't seen up close yet. It's really neat to see all the spires on the top of the cathedral. So I think we might have bad news. So this entrance is for the ticket office here, but that sign says the entrance is around that way, and we passed that giant door and it was completely closed. So I have a feeling it's probably closed for the day.
I swear it said it's open till 7.
Well, let's go in the box office and find out.
I'm guessing that's the box office that's gated up. So bad news, guys. The real Alcazar is currently closed. When I had done my research before we ever came to Spain, I thought it was open till 7, and it is open till 7 during a lot of the year, but during the winter months, unfortunately, it's only open till 5. I did scan this barcode and it said we actually could have watched this nighttime light show that they do here, but they actually canceled it today due to the weather. Now currently, as you can probably tell, the sun has come out. It's actually pretty good, so I think they could have had it. The weather's quite nice now, but that's the risk we took when we decided to navigate this city today without using technology. I feel like if we were using our phones to plan, at some point we would have looked up the hours of this place and been sure to get here before the 5 p.m. closing time, but I'm sure we're still gonna find plenty to do tonight.
We spent the next hour or so just walking around and taking in as much of the city as possible, knowing that the next morning we'd be off to a whole new area of Spain. We loved walking the narrow pathways and finding small businesses we didn't expect around what seemed like every corner. Eventually, we wandered into Plaza de la Alfalfa and found a live musician. So we decided to take a seat outside at a restaurant to enjoy the music and more tapas.
Como alcalde que se llama, vive y enamorado. Cada día te quiero más.
After the musician was finished, we ended up trying 3 tapas: squid balls, an empanada, and a pork cheek dish. While all 3 were good, the pork cheek was by far our favorite of the 3. It was like a tender roast on top of creamy potatoes.
Skylar just got a limoncello on the house.
So we made it back to our hotel, and even though our pillowcases and bed sheets were still a little bit damp, we were really happy to find that you could barely tell that they had been covered in coffee. Now, even though the weather here in Sevilla did not cooperate with us hardly at all, and we didn't get to see a few of the places that we were really hoping to see, we still had an amazing time in this city. It was a lot like Malaga in some ways and very different in others. We're really glad that we got to experience both cities, but we're pretty sure the rest of this trip is going to be completely different because over the next few days we're going to be spending some time in a small beach town, up in some small mountain towns, and also a completely different continent. And we hope you join us for those adventures by clicking here right now. Thanks for watching.